naturally with Green Fingertips with me, Josie Rainbow, your natural gardening coach. Here we are talking about pumpkin on the hands, and we're talking about pumpkin, funny enough. So we're making plant food with the stuff, the seeds, the gooeynesses from inside the pumpkin. Also going to be talking to you about the other things that you can use the insides of pumpkins, or discarded pumpkin if you were carving one at Halloween and you left it and it's gone a bit manky and bottom. To help support your garden, to help support the wildlife that live in your garden. The flesh of a pumpkin, there's loads of nutrients, loads of vitamins that birds and small mammals, wildlife, insects as well, and invertebrates that live in your garden, that support your garden, that live in the soil and help to break down the organic matter in your soil and feed your plants. There's loads of things in there that they can eat, they can live off of while the weather's getting colder and there isn't a lot else for them to eat. What I would normally do for it is either at the bottom of our garden, there's a nice big wild area, and normally just put them out on the ground. Then birds will come down, pick through the seeds. Any mice or anything like that will come along and pick and chew at any of the pumpkin flesh, so they will take what they want. Halloween, when I carve from a pumpkin 2 days later and it will try and fall apart, I put the whole pumpkin minus the candle down the bottom of the garden, and that will break down, and then wildlife will come in and start eating away at that as well. So that really does help to provide a bit of food for them if they need it. Alternatively, if you don't want to be providing food for the wildlife that lives in your garden, if you might be in a more of a built-up area, an urban area, and you're concerned about rodents and things, rats and foxes and whatever, and you don't really want to be attracting them in, they will go very nicely into a compost heap, absolutely fine. Now, pumpkin is very rich in nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, calcium and magnesium. So these are very important nutrients for your plants. So if you put this directly into a compost heap, which is why we're using this, also the innards and seeds for a slow release feed, add a pumpkin or the innards of a pumpkin directly to your compost heap. That will infuse the compost with all the nutrients that your plants will need. But it's really good practice to do that if you don't want to be leaving it out for the wildlife to chew on. Similar to composting the pumpkin, you can also, if you've left it to dry and it's not mouldy, you can also use it as soil conditioner as well. Either use it as a mulch around your garden. So what I would do is put it down as a layer on like my beds and borders, or if you've got container plants or vegetable patch, whatever, lay it on the top, and then I would put like the last grass cuttings of the season or anything, if I'm cutting my beans down or anything like that, I'd lay those on top of it, and then it would all break down together into the soil. That will then, you may possibly, if you have the seeds still in the innards, get the odd pumpkin plant come up if you've got an organically grown pumpkin, because some of the supermarket ones don't grow from the seeds very well. Some do, but you know, they tend to sterilise them or whatever, so it's not so good. But if you've got an organically grown pumpkin, got it from a farm shop or a local pumpkin patch, you've got a good chance that those seeds will grow. Yes, if you leave those in the goo or the pumpkin flesh, you possibly will get pumpkins popping up around your garden. But if you just use the flesh and then cover it with a green mulch, that'll work really well to condition the soil over the winter and help to provide a lot of nutrients for your plants in the spring. Plant food we're making now, the slow release dry food, bird feed as well, or bird and small mammal feed, if you like wildlife feed, chucking it on the compost heap, and soil conditioner, putting it in and around the roots of your plants, or laying it on top of the surface, covering it in a green mulch, or even compost on top of it as well, and let it break down over the winter. Perfect, that works really well. But today, as I say, we're making the dry, slow release feed. Then I can store that throughout the winter, ready for the spring, summer, when your plants will need it the most. It's a really good all-round kind of feed because it has a whole variety of nutrients, macronutrients, micronutrients as well, and sort of secondary nutrients that your plants need and can't always get from the soil if your soil's not great. It's really good to do it that way. And where it's slow release as well, you can use a little bit of it and it will just spread through the season. So it's really nice. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And then I can store it and it won't smell or go manky throughout the year or throughout the few months before I use it. So this dry slow release feed will last up to 12 months in a dry sealed container. As soon as it gets wet or gets moisture into it, then it'll start to go funny again. But as long as it stays dry, you keep it in a sealed container, somewhere out of direct sunlight, cool place, like a shed or anything like that. If you've got somewhere you keep your feeds already, your fertilizers already, perfectly fine. Don't keep it in your greenhouse. I'm sure it'd be okay for a period of time in your greenhouse, but the heat, moisture, condensation, not good. In a shed, in a cupboard in the house, anywhere that is going to be kind of cool, out of direct sunlight, that'll be fine. I have got the oven is nearly up to temperature, so we've got it low. It'll be low and slow for about 2 hours. Obviously, depending on how much pumpkin. If you've got a lot of pumpkin and it's the hard flesh as well as the gooey innards, I've got mainly gooey innards going in here. I've got this pot and I've got another little pot behind that's going in. So I'm going to put it in for 2 hours, but I'll keep an eye on it because it could take 2 to 3 hours depending on how much you've got and how fleshy it is. If it's just the gooey stuff, it doesn't take so long, and the seeds will go black and crispy faster than the goo will. But keep an eye on it, as I say, because as soon as it goes crispy, dry and crumbly, if you like, because we're going to blend it up so it'll become a powder. Once it becomes crumbly and dry, it can come out of the oven. It's fine, that's as far as it will go. Trying to dehydrate it, trying to get all the moisture out, crisp it up, ready. As soon as it's dehydrated and there's no moisture in, it won't go mouldy. So mould and fungus are not great for your garden. So as long as the pumpkin is dry and you can crumble it up into a powder, that's what we're aiming for with this. About 2 hours, I'm gonna leave it for 120 degrees. I'm going to flip the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Excuse the mess, I've had a bit of mess going on. Right, so got the saucepan of stuff. So I've done the 2 big fair sized pumpkins I've done here. I've got 2 fair size. What the idea is, I might have to get another tray, is to keep it, yeah, that's going to take a bit of time to cut. There you go. Keep it quite spread out. Don't want to keep it too chunky, as I say, that bit's a bit chunky, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Keep it quite spread out. I'm going to get another tray as well now. But yeah, keep it quite spread out will help it to roast faster. That's one. And the other pot, I've got a bit more fleshiness, so it might take a little bit longer. So you can see that where I've drawn. The skin won't make any difference because it's got nutrients in it again, so that's fine. It might just take, scoop a little bit of that in there. That'll be fine. But now the seeds are perfectly fine to eat as a snack. People food. It's fine. So you can clean the seeds off, dry them off, roast them, and then make a really nice healthy snack. So these are going to go in the oven, as I say, low and slow for about 2 hours. I'll keep an eye on them. It might possibly be 3 because there's quite a bit of chunkiness in here. So we will see what it kind of looks like, so we'll blitz it up. Right, so they're in the oven. It's gonna, excuse the light. So they're in the oven and we're gonna be keeping an eye on them, but I'll set the timer for about 2 hours. I'll just check them in a minute. The house will now fill with the beautiful smell of pumpkin cooking, which will be lovely until they get to the point that they are drying out, and then it might not smell so nice, but we'll see, won't we? And then once they are roasted, I'll come back to you and we can then blitz it up, make a powder. I'll catch up with you in a minute. We are back. So after roasting in the oven for a good couple of hours, I have now been left with the dried up pumpkin seed and pumpkin flesh concoction mixture. So now we've got to blitz this up into a powder, which I will show you now. So I have the old mixie, and this is like a what would you call it, like a Maggi mix. It's a Kenwood blender, but it's got like a little NutriBullet type of mixer with it. So I'm doing it in that because it will get it down much finer than a blender, I think, though. So I'm going to have to do it in several lots and then put it into another pot. So once it's all blended and into a meal, that is it. Basically, that is it, ready to go. This will hold in a cool, dry place where it's a dry meal. Cool, dry place for 6 to 12 months, depending. I haven't made a lot, and generally, you don't really make a lot at a time, unless you've got several hundred pumpkins to go through. Don't make a lot at a time, but it's a really good meal. Slow release fertilizer. Let me come back down so you can see me. But it makes a really nice, dry, slow release fertilizer, high in potassium, high in nitrogen, high in phosphorus, and calcium, magnesium as well. So it's really good all-rounder for use in early spring. If it's got the nitrogen count in it, it's not high nitrogen, but it's got the nitrogen count in there as well. So it's really good when you are when the plants are first starting growing. So they're good for the roots and for the leaves and shoots. It's good potassium and the phosphorus for the flower buds as well when they start to be produced in the spring, summer, and it's good for root production as well. So it's an all-rounder, really good. It's really good to help to counter or mitigate, if you like, the calcium magnesium deficiency. So if you've got tomatoes or peppers that are growing and you want to avoid bottom end rot, it's a good one to go with. You can top dress with it. You can put it into the hole in the ground before you put the plant in, then you plant it. Yes, anything like that, absolutely perfect. It's a really good dry, slow release feed. So that's all that is the pumpkin innards, the little bit of fleshy stuff that goes with pumpkin seeds, cooked in the oven, slow roasted for a couple of hours, depending on how much pumpkin you've got, and blended up into a meal. So there we go. Very easy to make. Takes a little bit of time, but not very much. That will sit in my cupboard with my rest of me feeds ready to go, ready for the spring. To say we're in the winter, we're coming into the winter now, so I won't need a lot at the moment, but I like to make ahead just to get myself organised, so I don't have to worry when it comes to the spring. And if a sign of deficiency should poke its head up, if a plant should look a bit unwell, I have things there ready just to go straight in with. So that's what we've done today. As I say, there was quite a few different ways you can use pumpkins outside of making the slow release meal. In the comments I will put what I've talked about with the other ways that you can use pumpkins as well, through feeding your garden and looking after the nature and wildlife that live in your garden. I'll stick all that in the comments in the description for you. If you've learned something today, if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. It helps YouTube to show my videos to more people, to up the viewings a little bit on it. And if you wanted to see more videos from myself on gardening naturally from your fingertips, please click the subscribe button and you can see them all as they pop up each week. So on that note, I'm going to go and put this in my cupboard, and I will see you in the next video. See you later.